Go local or go global? Which one, if you were a fintech startup founder right now, what would you choose, going local or global? And let's dive in straight into this topic.
Okay, so allow me to start. So first of all, hi everyone. I'm so happy to see so many of you here despite the pretty late hour. Answering your questions, Michał, why not both, right? At PayU, we have a very ambitious vision, and the vision says we are creating a world without financial borders where everyone can prosper. And this pretty ambitious vision is supported with a pretty straightforward strategy. The strategy says have a local expertise with a global reach. So before deciding, which path to go, right? If you want to stay local, if you want to go global, you have to consider a few factors. First would be, what's your business? What's your product? What are you offering? And if that's a product that is already being widely spread in your local region, in your country, then probably you can, if you feel secure about the services that you provided, I think that's a good opportunity to go global. Conversely, if you can see that your local market still needs a service that you're really, super ambitious about, but also, excited to have, then try it local, right? So that's the first thing. The second obvious candidate is who's your target audience? Who are your customers? So then again, right, you need to have this match. If you are serving a global audience, that doesn't really matter what region they are operating in, they will still behave the same. Or is it a very localized, group with all the idiosyncrasies of a given market? You need to take it into the consideration. Thirdly, and that's not my favorite one, although I see my colleagues from the compliance and legal, consider the regulatory part, right? Because this can be an enabler that can help boost your business. On the other side, this can be a killer. So you need to take that into the consideration. And lastly, of course, the resources, right? So can you afford going global, or is it maybe for more safe for you to stay easily, locally, and turning into more, let's say, broader perspective in time?
Fedele, global, local?
Well, global is a nice dream, but to start with, I think it's a bit excessive. So effectively, if I was to start now, but at any point in time, I would definitely pick one jurisdiction where I'm comfortable with, make sure I know how to build the business, that everything works, because the business we are in is actually super complex. To get payments right, everything is so natural when it works. If something doesn't work, it's a disaster. So in my view, we should pick one location, one jurisdiction rather. For example, Europe. It doesn't have to be Poland, but Europe as a single jurisdiction, get things right, and then expand. And other points were absolutely correct in terms of how many resources, what type of customers. But at the end of the day, you have to be realistic when you start. Otherwise, you crash before you take off.
Yeah, I'm probably in the most comfortable situation here on this stage, working for a truly global company. We're active in 227 countries. But having said that, I think every business should and is local and should start so. And I would agree with Fedele. You need to build something first that works in one jurisdiction, regulatory environment before you think about going global. We've seen many failures of people who have gone too fast into too many jurisdictions. But at the same time, there's a big opportunity out there, and I think this is the time to actually go low. If there was a time in history, so this is the time to expand beyond your normal local remit that you have. Digitization is a big catalyst for that.
So basically choosing the right jurisdiction, the right country, seems like one of the most important things to decide. So which regions of the world, which countries, which jurisdictions are the ones with the biggest business potential right now for fintechs?
Apart from the obvious candidate, which would be the CEE, I would name two in which PayU is also present and strong, and about which I can tell you a few words. So first of all, it would be LATAM, and the second would be Africa. If you look at the numbers, these two continents constitute more or less 20% of the global population. So that's already a very good argument to consider. But when thinking about these regions that have quite a few factors in common, you should consider the following, right? The first thing would be that both Latam and Africa are largely underbanked or unbanked population. What does it mean? In simple words, it means that the inhabitants of those regions, of those countries, do not have as easy access to something that comes, by default to us, to the financial services that are omnipresent, for example, in Europe, right? So this is the niche or a gap that fintechs can fill. Second thing would be look also at the median of the age in these regions. Average median in Latam is 30 something. In Africa is only 18, 19 years. So that's compared again to the Western world. It's super low. And how does it translate? It translates to the fact that you have a young generation that is really using smartphones and all the modern technology on daily basis. And now when talking about smartphones and the mobile revolution that is going on in both the regions, you can see how rapidly it is changing, and the boom is unbelievable. And on top of that, mix it now with the entrepreneurial attitude of those regions, of the countries that we can observe there. That gives you an incredible mixture that then enables the fintech to grow, to expand, to even overcome sometimes obstacles that look at the first glance not to be easy to tackle.
Andreas, Fedele,
Well,
Latam?
I mean, there's no right and wrong for this question, and it also depends a lot on the dynamics, on the market dynamics. So I don't know. Wind the clock back. There must have been some kind of an opportunity in Europe 10 years ago when fintech was actually created, right? When all the Revoluts, the Monzos, the Monis, the N26s came into the market. There must have been an opportunity in Brazil when Nubank created within a couple of years a client base which is like 90 million plus in the meantime. There must have been this opportunity, but the wisdom of yesterday doesn't help you for tomorrow. So I think it's always important to look into, okay, what is your true competency? Which problem are you trying to solve? And then find the right product market fit. And I would think also there's a big opportunity in Africa, definitely, and probably it's going to be one of these regions where you're going to see leapfrogging, something that you cannot imagine now in established markets. At the same time, it could also take much longer than expected. And I think there's also, coming back to Europe, I think there's so much opportunity here if you look at what's happening here. I mean, fintech in the, let's say, original sense, B2C, being a mobile banking app, 10 years old, the first wave of fintech. That bandwagon came from the UK, came into France, Western Europe, and came also into Central Eastern Europe. I think there we see now with new segments popping up, especially in the B2B area, there's a huge opportunity out there. And you don't have to go as far as Latin America, Asia, Africa. There's so much opportunity out here. And I think also, if you follow the money, if you look where are investments flowing within Europe, there's a big opportunity here in Central Eastern Europe.
And I would just add a quick comment that it's also a matter of where you are personally capable to deliver something. Because of course, even if you can find that there is a great opportunity in Africa, if you're not from there, you're at a disadvantage to start with. And as Andreas was saying, in Europe actually there's a lot of opportunity for fintech, embedded finance and solutions like that. So I think there is really a lot of growth, and if you're focused on results as opposed to just smoke and mirrors, I think you can stay home and do a lot of good things.
Are there any particular technologies you find with the biggest potential right now? Because countries is one thing, then every year practically we have a different technology that seems to be the thing. So is there such technology right now that you would put your money and energy and time into and be sure that in 5 or 10 years it will pay off?
Actually, that's a very good question, and I will add additional point to that: technologies and services. So we'll start from something that's closest to my heart, being responsible for settlements. I really look forward to the development of the so-called payment rails. Payment rails In short, this is the infrastructure. This is all the tech that is supporting the daily operations, the daily payments that are happening around the world. And why it is so critical? Because if you look at the current infrastructure, sometimes wiring money from place A to B, and if it's intercontinental, can take you a few days. And there are stages that when you are not even sure where your money is and what will be the final charge. We've upgraded, real-time settlements and rails. That will be skipped, and you can have your money immediately, whatever the place in the world you are. Then open banking, right? We are in Poland. We are in CE, highly regulated market. We were all looking into the introduction of PSD2. In my opinion, it fell short. We were promised open banking, open APIs, PISP and ISP services that were presented as enablers to businesses. As of now, I can see more obstacles coming with PSD2 than was promised. And therefore, I am so looking forward to the introduction of the PSD3 and the fact that we will finally, hopefully, thinking and focusing on enabling the business, not putting yet another obstacle to that. What's there also coming in the future? So for sure, we'll see the continuous growth of the credit, buy now, pay later installment business. This is on the rise. And you can see that this is becoming more and more popular, whatever region you're into. I would also name InsurTech, right? So providing additional services. This is also called embedded services, right? So situation when you have a financial services provided by a financial companies. So insurances will for sure become more and more present in time. And lastly, but also quite obvious answer, is crypto, right? Crypto is again on the rise. We have so many experts here, so I will not follow this path, but it's hard not to mention crypto here.
Yeah, I mean, starting from the last point, crypto or blockchain is definitely something that is interesting and will develop somehow. Maybe we don't know exactly how, but it's going to develop. But at the end of the day, the key thing, at least in what we do, is network, which is probably along the lines of the payment rails. So, and this is what Mastercard, for example, does very well. And that's why they are so strong and resilient, because they have the network. And in the end, it's not about technology as such. It's about the key ingredients, which for payments is having a network and be able to understand how things move within it. And to the extent that blockchain will facilitate that, that will be the way. I personally am perhaps a bit more skeptical than others. Crypto is a different story because it's about value, not about technology. But definitely getting the network right is the recipe for the next step in global payments.
So maybe to add to that, I don't think that there's this one silver bullet that we're looking at. It's rather a combination of that. It's having the basis is always having the right infrastructure, having the right, let's say, business model as such. But I think there's probably three ingredients that are really in this digitized world, which are really a differentiator and which are going to make a difference. The first one is, what are you going to do on the data side and on the data insight front? If you're not there in this world, you're probably lost. And then you need to have the permittance to actually to act in that market. And if you don't have that, then you will be pretty quickly out of the market. And what I'm talking about is cybersecurity. If you don't have the basics right and if you don't have the insights generated on that, then you're going to be in big trouble. And I think that leads to, and as none of you has mentioned that, AI is certainly something that will be the driving force behind that. But it's not this singular technology. It is always this portfolio of technologies that you need, and it's a combination. And I think this is also the entrepreneurial spirit that we try to foster when we're talking with our fintechs that we're partnering with. We're trying to find that unique combination of personalities, technology, and market opportunity. That is what we're trying to bring together. And then this combination, that will ultimately then also make them fly and even fly higher.
So as we're running out of time, I would like to ask the audience, are there any fintech founders here? Hands up if there are any fintech founders. No, that's surprising actually. But I will still ask briefly, one short piece of advice for fintech founders all over the world, what would you say to them?
One piece of advice, well, I have a good idea, but I think one of the most important things and underestimated is people. People. Find the right team, build a strong team, and the rest will follow.
Fedele?
Yeah, fully agree on team. That's 110%. Plus also not underestimating the funding needs. Being in fintech now is a real serious business in terms of money, not like it was 10 years ago.
One last piece of advice.
So we'll add to what was already said by Andreas and Fedele. Be bold, think big, and come prepared.
And I think that's a great summing up of this discussion. Thank you very much, Andreas, Fedele, Marek. Thank you, audience. Thank you very much.